My father gave me an ultimatum on a Sunday afternoon in October. Marry the woman he'd chosen or lose $180,000 that my grandfather had spent 40 years saving. I chose the money. I told myself it was temporary. 2 years, then I'd be 30. The trust would release, and I'd quietly end a marriage that never should have started. What I didn't account for was Maya. My name is Ethan Brooks. I'm 28 years old, and this is the story of how my father forced me into a marriage I resented, how I spent the first month counting down days until I could leave, and how the woman I dismissed as some poor nurse from Tyler dismantled every assumption I had about what strength actually looks like, without ever once asking me to notice. I need to start with who I was before any of this happened. Dallas, Texas, October 20th to 23. I worked as a financial analyst at Meridian Capital Group, mid-size investment firm off McKinney Avenue. $78,000 a year. Nice apartment in Uptown. I drove a 2021 Audi A4. Had a 5-year plan that I reviewed quarterly like it was a portfolio. I was dating Ashley Carmichael, 27, marketing manager at a tech company in Plano. Made $95,000. Came from old Plano money. Her dad owned 3 car dealerships. She was polished and ambitious and fit perfectly into the future I'd been building. My dad, Gerald Brooks, was 59. Retired Army. 24 years. Retired as a lieutenant colonel. Now ran a small veterans consulting firm out of an office in Garland. He was the kind of man who issued instructions and expected confirmation, not discussion. My mom, Beverly, was 57, followed Gerald's lead on anything structural, loved me in the quiet way that never quite pushed back against my father when it mattered. October 15th, 2023, Sunday, my parents' house in Mesquite. Gerald asked me to come for lunch. Just me. No Ashley. After we ate, he sat across from me at the kitchen table and told me he needed to discuss something important. He told me about Ruth Simmons. Childhood friend, lost touch for 30 years. Reconnected at a veterans event in Fort Worth the previous spring. He told me Ruth's husband, James Simmons, had served with him in 1989. Had saved his life during a training accident in Germany. Pulled him out of a vehicle that caught fire. Never told anyone. Never asked for anything. Died of cancer in 2007, leaving Ruth with a daughter and $14,000 in savings. Gerald had carried that debt for 34 years. Ruth's daughter is 26, Gerald said. Her name is Maya. She's a licensed practical nurse. She's a good person from a good family. I want you to marry her. I stared at him. You want me to... I'm not asking, Gerald said. I'm telling you. Dad, I'm with Ashley. I have a life. You can't just... Your grandfather's trust, Gerald set a folder on the table. I'm executor until your 30th birthday. That's 2 years and 3 months from now. $180,000. If you refuse this, I dissolve the trust, and the money goes to the Veterans Foundation your grandfather named as secondary beneficiary. That was always an option. I'm choosing to use it. I opened the folder. The trust document. His signature as executor. Every word of it exactly as he'd described. This is insane, I said. James Simmons burned trying to pull me out of that vehicle, Gerald said. His daughter works double nursing shifts and sends money home to her mother every month. I owe that family. You're how I'm paying it. I drove back to Dallas in a state I can only describe as controlled fury. Called Ashley from the parking garage of my apartment. My father lost his mind, I told her. What happened? She asked. I explained the whole thing. When I finished, Ashley was quiet for a moment. So you'd have to actually marry this woman, she said. Apparently. For 2 years. Until the trust releases at 30, then I can end it. That's so humiliating, Ashley said. For you, I mean. That your dad thinks he can just... Does she even know? Is she in on it? I don't know, I said. She probably is, Ashley said. Girls like that usually are, looking for a way up. I didn't sleep that night. By morning, I'd made my decision. 2 years. I'd be decent, I'd be civil, and then I'd be done. I met Maya Simmons for the first time at her mother's house in Tyler. 2 hours east of Dallas on I-20. Small house on a quiet street. Clean yard. Ruth Simmons answered the door. 52. Warm eyes. The kind of tired that lives in someone permanently, but doesn't make them unkind. Maya came in from the back of the house still in her scrubs. She'd come straight from a shift. 26 years old, medium height, no makeup, hair pulled back. She looked at me the way someone looks at a situation they've already accepted. Not happy, not desperate, just clear. We were left alone in the living room for 15 minutes while Ruth and Gerald talked in the kitchen. You don't want this, Maya said. Not accusatory, just factual. No, I said. I figured honesty was the least I owed her. I know, she said. Your father told me everything. Your girlfriend, the trust, your timeline. She looked at me steadily. I'm not doing this for you. I'm doing it for my mother, and because I respected your father's friendship with my dad. I don't need you to perform happiness. I just need you to be decent. I didn't know what to do with that. I'd prepared for desperation or a manipulation, or at least some performance of enthusiasm. I got none of it. Okay, I said. We got married November 30th, 2023. Small ceremony. Judge's office in Dallas County. Gerald and Beverly, Ruth, one friend each. 40 minutes including paperwork. She moved into my uptown apartment. I gave her the second bedroom. She thanked me and unpacked 2 bags. The first month I counted days, kept to my side of the apartment. We had dinner together 3 times a week. Gerald had asked for that minimum, and I honored it. Conversation was polite, surface level. I asked about her shifts. She asked about my work. We didn't push past that. I was still texting Ashley, not daily, but regularly. She called the marriage your hostage situation. And I laughed because it was easier than examining why the description bothered me. I started noticing things about Maya the way you notice a sound you can't identify. Gradually, then all at once. She left for shifts at 5:45 a.m. without waking me, came home 11 hours later and made dinner anyway. Not elaborate, just real food, actual meals. Left a plate for me in the oven on the nights I worked late without being asked and without mentioning it. I got sick in January. Actual flu. Fever of 102, couldn't get off the couch. I woke up at 2 a.m. disoriented, and there was a glass of water and 2 Tylenol on the coffee table, with a note in her handwriting. Next dose at 4, soup in the fridge, microwave 2 minutes. She had a 6 a.m. shift. She'd set it out before she slept. She sent $600 to her mother on the first of every month. I saw it on the shared account we'd opened for household expenses. Never mentioned it. Never asked me to contribute more. Just sent it quietly and moved on. She studied at night. Nursing textbooks, practice exams, a binder of notes organized by color, working toward her RN license. She'd been working toward it for 2 years while holding a full-time LPN position. She fixed the leaking bathroom faucet herself in February. I came home to find her under the sink with a wrench and a YouTube tutorial playing on her phone. When I asked if she needed help, she said, "I've almost got it," and she did. I found myself adjusting my schedule without deciding to. Coming home earlier, sitting in the living room instead of my bedroom, staying at the dinner table longer. One evening in March, I asked her why she'd agreed to this. She set down her fork, thought about it genuinely before answering. "My dad wrote your father a letter before he died," she said. "I didn't know about it until after your dad told my mom about this arrangement. My mom showed it to me." She paused. "He said if anything happened to him, he hoped Gerald would look after us. Not financially. My dad wasn't like that. He just meant look in on us sometimes. Make sure we were okay." She looked at the table. "I don't think he meant this exactly. But your father took it seriously, and my father trusted Gerald with it. That means something to me." I asked Ruth to show me the letter the next time I drove to Tyler with Maya for his Sunday visit, April 2024. Ruth brought it out after dinner, single page. James Simmons's handwriting. I could tell it was careful, someone who didn't write letters often. "Gerald, if I don't make it back from this one, I need you to know Ruth and Maya are on their own. I'm not asking for money or favors, I'm just asking you to remember us sometimes. Check in. Make sure they didn't disappear. You know how easy it is to disappear." James, 1989. Gerald had carried that letter for 34 years in the same wallet. Ruth told me he'd shown it to her the day he proposed this arrangement, that he'd cried, that she'd never seen him cry before. I drove back to Dallas that night and sat in the parking garage for 20 minutes before going upstairs. In May, Ashley texted me a photo someone had posted, a mutual friend who'd seen Maya and me at a restaurant. She'd captioned it online with something vague, but pointed it about 2 people who marry for money. It got around. It got to HR at Meridian through a colleague who knew Ashley's circle. My manager called me into his office on a Tuesday. "Ethan, we have an ethics policy about personal conduct that reflects on the firm. There's been some noise." "It's false," I said. My marriage is legitimate. I can document it. I know, but the optics... I'll handle the optics, I said. I called Ashley that night. You sent that photo to someone, I said. Silence. Then, I shared it with a friend. I didn't control what she did with it. You told people Maya married me for money. Didn't she? Ashley said. Come on, Ethan, you know what this is. I thought about Maya at 2 a.m. leaving Tylenol on the coffee table before a 6 a.m. shift. Maya sending $600 to her mother on the first of every month without mentioning it. Maya under the sink with a wrench and a YouTube tutorial. No, I said, I don't think I do. I didn't call Ashley again after that. Maya's RN exam results came in June 14th, 2024. She was in the kitchen when she checked her phone. I watched her face. The stillness, then the exhale, then the smallest smile she probably thought I couldn't see. You passed, I said. She looked up. How did you know? Your face. She laughed. Actually laughed. The real version, not the polite one she used at dinner. Dallas Presbyterian called her 2 weeks later. Staff R and was at N position. $74,000 a year. She'd gone from $41,000 to $74,000 in the span of an exam. She told me over dinner, matter of fact. Then she said, I want you to know something. I'm going to be fine either way. Whatever you decide when you turn 30, I'll be fine. I'm not staying because I need to. I looked at her across the table. What if I'm not deciding to leave? I said. She looked at me carefully. Then say that clearly. Don't let me assume. I don't want to leave, I said. I want to start over from the beginning without the timeline. She was quiet for a long moment. You would have to actually try, she said. Not perform trying, actually try. I know, I said. Okay, she said, and went back to her dinner. It's been 6 months since that conversation. We're still in the uptown apartment, still having dinner 3 times a week. More now, actually. She starts at Dallas Presbyterian next month. I called my father last week, told him I understood why he'd done it. He didn't say much, just, James would have liked her. Yeah, I said. He raised her, right? Here's what I know now. We spend years building a picture of the life we want. The right job, the right partner, the right zip code, and we call that picture a plan. What we don't realize is that the picture is also a wall, and it keeps out everything that doesn't match, including the things that would actually save us. I measured Maya in numbers before I ever knew her. $41,000 a year, wrong neighborhood, no connections. Every number told me she was beneath the life I'd built. What numbers don't measure is who leaves medicine on a coffee table at 2 a.m. before a 6 a.m. shift, who sends money home every month without mentioning it, who refuses, quietly, completely, to become less than herself just because the man she married saw her as temporary. Character doesn't announce itself. That's the whole point. Maya was exactly the same person whether I was paying attention or not, and that, her complete indifference to my approval, was the most important thing I had ever encountered, because I had spent my entire adult life performing for an audience. She simply didn't need one. Here is what I want you to take from this. The people who fit your plan reflect who you already are. The people who don't fit, who arrive in the wrong circumstances through arrangements you'd never have chosen, those are the ones who show you who you could become, if you let them. Most people walk past that person because they didn't arrive in the right package. Most people choose the mirror and spend years wondering why they feel so unseen. I almost did. Don't be the person with your hand on the exit door. The most important thing that will ever happen to you probably won't arrive the way you expected. And if you're only looking for what fits, you will miss everything that matters. If this story touched your heart, hit that like button and tell me which country you're watching from. I love hearing from all of you. Subscribe so you never miss these stories about the people who arrive unexpectedly and leave you permanently changed. New story every single day. See you in the next one. Take care.